Good morning and happy graduation week. Welcome to this space of rejoicing and truth-telling, where we strive to be and become ourselves and help others do the same. My name is Pastor Isabel Call, and it's my joy and my honor and my vow to serve as the minister of this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. Our mission is to be a diverse, evolving spiritual community acting for a better world. I understand that several years ago there used to be a billboard as you crossed the bridge, crossed the river, that said, "Turn left" on Zinedale. And I wonder how many of you turned left this morning, even though the sign said not to. And here we are. So welcome, visitors and newcomers. We have our greeter, Jessica, here this morning on Zinedale, and our Zoom host, Dick, here as well. They are especially available to answer questions. If you're here in person and have a joy or sorrow you would like me to read aloud later, you can begin to write it down on a paper you'll find nearby. And if you're on Zoom, there will be an opportunity to type it in the chat later. It is a big day here. We're having a potluck. And if you didn't bring anything, that's all right. We have hot dogs and brats outside over a ritual fire, which you'll hear more about later. The RE team will lead us in that. You can bounce between that and the narthex, where we will be having a reception for the gorgeous new art, and you can mingle with the artists. And we're also having a fundraiser for Juneteenth. Any money raised today will be matched by the social action team, and that will go directly to the Juneteenth organizers. As we arrive in this time and place and move into reflection, let's awaken to the history of the land that holds us. There are some stories which are not true to the history. And one, created here in Manhattan less than a century ago, is the story of Johnny Caw, who is said to be Kansas's hero, a giant white man, 24 feet tall by his likeness in City Park, who created the Kansas landscape, geography, and pioneer trails. He dug the Caw River Valley, it is said. He planted wheat, he invented sunflowers, and grew giant potatoes. Johnny even controlled the weather, lopping the funnels off tornadoes and wringing out the clouds to end droughts. So says our City Park website. So I ask you, what are we losing when we tell this story of a white man creating Kansas? And what are we taking when we call him by the name Caw? And what are we taking when we call this state by the name Kanza? And what is our true story? Our true story? And how might we tell it in a way that honors the true Caw Nation, the true Kanza people, real people removed from here, who are surviving, who are coming back? How might we tell our story? So let's take a moment to honor the truth that we have come to this land. We didn't create it. And let's take a moment to honor the Mother Earth, the one who has given birth over eons to all that we experience and all that we are, and who welcomes us now to this moment. I begin my reflection today with the words of Jungian analyst Robert A. Johnson from this book, Inner Work, Using Dreams and Active Imagination for Personal Growth. Carl Jung developed a magnificent vision of the human capacity for consciousness, of its role and meaning. He saw a creative force at work in nature, a cosmos laboring through timeless eons to give birth to this rare quality that we call consciousness. Through the human race, the huge unconscious psyche of nature has slowly made a part of itself conscious. Jung believed that God and all of creation labored through time to bring conscious awareness into the universe, and it is the role of human beings to carry that evolution forward. On this Mother's Day, I'm interested in how we are all mothers, laboring to give birth to our own consciousness. I'm also personally convinced that there is a larger mother, a metaphor or a reality, who cares for us as a labor of love. She wants humanity to awaken to beauty and goodness. So our theme this month is pluralism, and next week my plan is to approach pluralism or define pluralism as faith in our diversity, that our diversity is sacred and essential for the evolution of our collective consciousness. This week, I'm zooming in to the infinitely complex individual. I understand nature and reality as fractal, and so I'm confident that I can learn something about the pluralism I hope for the world at large by studying my own sub-personalities and the process by which they learn to live in harmony. So I got that word sub-personalities from the Zen teacher Sherry Huber in this book. Sub-personalities are survival strategies we developed to make it through childhood, she writes. When you were being taught to fit into society, when you were being socialized, you concluded that you were the cause of other people's unhappiness, that there was something wrong with you, and that you needed to be different. You threw temper tantrums when you were 2 and 3, and you got a lot of what you wanted. But by the time you were 4, that wasn't working anymore, so you became a performer, she writes, or a helper, or you withdrew, or you rebelled, or you adapted in a way that to your child's mind seemed like it would be acceptable to those around you. Get your needs met, ensure your survival. A new sub-personality was born each time you needed to adapt throughout your early years. Now, as an adult, those parts of you are still operating. Sometimes you're talkative, other times you're withdrawn, sometimes you're charming, cautious, irritable, obsessed by a project, a procrastinator. The list is long, Sherry Huber writes. The list is long for most people. So take a moment now and think about your own constellation of personalities. Who lives inside you? I have an overachiever, and a lazy bones, a backseat driver, as some of you may have experienced. I have an improviser. What about you? And so I invite you, you can holler it out. I'll repeat so people can hear. Who lives inside you? A hedonist. A know-it-all. Procrastinator. A controller. Overthinker. Anyone on Zoom, you can just unmute and shout or whisper.
Proofreader.
Oh.
Rejecter of proofreaders' suggestions.
I heard caretaker over here. Opinionated. Prosecutor.
Child.
Child. Protector of small animals. Protector. Yeah. Bitch. Lover. Child. Mother. I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. So how many of you know that song and recognized it as we heard it? Wow, all right. Does anybody recall the opening line? I hate the world today. Yeah, I hate the world today. Yeah, I was thinking of playing it here in the sanctuary, and I was like, can we really just blast that out? So yeah, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. But I wonder, Meredith Brooks, I wonder, as she started to identify all her sub-personalities, maybe she did start to feel some shame, or feel the shame that are associated with some of those sub-personalities. I know I've certainly been socialized not to be a bitch. Whether that works or not, We develop these sub-personalities because the world hates who we feel like the world hates who we are. And they're defensive strategies and also resistant strategies. Proofreader, denier of proofreader. If the world hates us, well, then a part of us hates the world back. But it doesn't totally work. If the world hates us, a part of us learns to hate us too. So in this book, Sherry Huber's focus is learning how to differentiate from all these sub-personalities, to listen to them talking and arguing with each other, and realize I'm not them. But I can love and care for them like they are my inner children. Our sub-personalities were all born when we're pretty young, she says, and she's interested in how developing healthy relationships with them, or through reparenting ourselves, we can evolve beyond self-hate. And though Sherry Huber doesn't go there, I believe strongly that healing from self-hate is what we need in order to heal the hate in the world. We are fractal, after all. Now, a Jungian understanding of our inner plurality goes beyond these young sub-personalities. The different characters who play roles in our subconscious come not just from minor or major traumas during our childhoods, but also our feelings, attitudes, and value systems, which are growing and expanding all the time. Sometimes we tap into some deep truths, and some of these characters that are a part of us are part of everyone, archetypes, characters that we sort of all know. They appear to us in dreams as persons with whom we interact, and they interact with each other. And each of us has our own cast, some consistent over time, some making cameo appearances. Robert Johnson says that, quote, real human beings are combinations of many characteristics that join together to form one rich, inconsistent, many-faceted human personality, end quote. And it's a unique personality, unique, special to each of us like a fingerprint. Getting to know our pluralistic selves is what Jungians call individuation, the lifelong process of becoming the complete human beings we were born to be. Waking up to our total self.
This poem is entitled Your Own Story. Come into your own story, the one that flows like molten lava from the pure fire in your gut. Not someone else's story, not the world's expectations, not the 7 easy steps that lead to guaranteed success and happiness. Enter the deep chamber at the center of the whirling world and listen for the song only you can hear. Sing that song, not any other. Sing the few notes you've been given, like this wren that fills the whole morning with its persistent mercy. A soft hollow of silence like a cupped hand, then the small flute pours its canticle, trembling the bright air. Cracks open the day, rends the veil of darkness, lifts the fog away. Day after day, it claims its ancient aria, every note a fractal of the sheer urge of the world, lures the green juice, calls the vital sap up from the ageless depths, the flame dance, flare forth in ceaseless song.
Today, May 12th, 2024, what is your story? What part of your story are you coming into today? What parts of yourself did you assume were you that you're now seeing are just parts that no longer need to dominate? So I'm going to take a few breaths for reflection. In the story of your life today, what chapter is coming to a close? What chapter is just beginning? We each have a story, our own story, our own calling, which is given to us not by some external God, but by a wise inner parent who co-creates it with us as she gets to know our diversity of personalities. We are the only one who can live our story, the only one who can discern and choose the next right action, though there are many people who can give gifts of wisdom and perspective. And there certainly are many people who believe they know better than us about what we should do. Ultimately, the choices are ours alone. The experience is ours alone. This life and the death that will surely complete it are ours alone. Our dreams can only be dreamt by us. We each have a story, and those of us who are adults have a responsibility to parent ourselves into living it fully. We may have some grief or grievances about the tools that were or were not taught to us by the adults who raised us. And it's important to notice what's not quite right about the toolbox. And that does come up for many people on this day every year. But at some point, we have to make the effort to outfit ourselves. Or at some point, we can. We do have that choice in this life. And then there are the brave, or we might call them the foolhardy, who take on the role of parents to actual other beings, actual babies and young people who live in their homes 24/7 with very few breaks and no vacations. These people are on call all the time, and they do the hard work of bringing their own selves through adulthood while trying to create a conducive environment for healthy attitudes and beliefs to sprout in a child. Raising a child is a heroic act, mind-blowing, and at times heartbreaking. As parents witness the pain and the hatred that leaves its mark on babies' bodies and psyches. It's important to remember that Mother's Day was originally not a celebration of mothers, but a demand by mothers for a world without war, a world human community that collaborates in minimizing the risk to the tender young beings who are our future. And we can all be those mothers in this generation. We can all keep demanding that. I've heard parenting described as ripping your heart out of your chest and letting it go out the door with a casual promise to come back later. Which brings us to graduations. Formal acknowledgments of our hearts going out the door. Pomp and circumstance mitigate that feeling of casualness that our offspring might carry like side-slung backpacks as they grow like miracles in front of our eyes. The ritual pace of a graduation might soothe our nerves. It might address our longing to slow those babies down as they go out the door. Slow them down on the threshold. We physically sit through the sometimes grueling boredom of a graduation ceremony so we can leap up and cheer and carry on when the time comes. Even if we've been instructed not to, because our bodies need to participate in that transformation. We don't want to feel quiet and alone, left on the inside of the doorway. We need to feel changed too, even if it's not our time to go out the door, even though we know we can't live our beloved's future for them. My gift to you today is the suggestion that no matter what is happening in your life, maybe it is your turn to go out the door. Your door, not anyone else's. Maybe you are graduating from school, or maybe you're graduating from a sub-personality. He'll never go away. He'll always be a part of you, but you don't have to be him anymore. You can just love him and gently ask him to pipe down when you're trying out something new. And what is the something new that you're trying out right now? What is the something old you're letting go of? We'll have an opportunity soon to hear from you if you'd like to share.